I'd also like to take this opportunity, you know who our guest speaker is this morning, but perhaps you don't know his bride or his daughter and son-in-law. So I'd like to recognize this morning Katie Clausen. Raise your hand, please, or stand up. Tori Cummings and her husband, AJ. Thank you for joining your dad and the ceremony this morning. It's an honor and a privilege to introduce one of our veterans, Kurt Clausen.
It is actually, it's humbling. It is truly my honor to be living here in Trilogy and to come to this veterans group. My father was full colonel, by the way. Oh. He let you know that. I knew that my whole life. My father's order to me was, son, when I give you something to do, I want to see smoke out of that tail cone, and you don't come back until the mission's complete. And that's the way I grew up. 7th and 17th. They weren't going to go in and pick these guys up. And actually the AC was captured and was at the Hanoi Hilton for a while. But Tim was laying there, and he turned his radios off and went in and said, I'm picking them up. And he went in and picked up Tim, but Tim had been down there for 5 hours, and he died on the chopper on the way back. And Timmy, there's a little guilt from my part, because Timmy came over to my trailer at Fort Rucker. At first I was going to go fly Chinooks, because I want to fly the biggest, baddest helicopter the Army had. And that looked like the biggest helicopter there was. Until I went out to the Fort Rucker landing pad, and they had one part. But you had to be, they wanted you to know that you were covering them. You had to cover their six, just like we all cover each other in here. And that's what's prideful to me. Because it's not the pictures, it's not the memories that we have in here. It's the pain and the loss of so many. And it affects all of us. It affects our entire lives. It affects who we are today. And I have just such total appreciation for every person in here. And I thank you all very much. At any rate, this guy's the guy that gave me my check ride. And he took me out there for 3 hours in a Cobra, and I learned things about a Cobra that I didn't even know you could do at all. And I think I was sweating from my neck to my feet when I got done with that check ride. I just remember being totally soaking wet. But Captain Powell taught me how, because you want the needle ball, everything in the center when you shoot a rocket so it goes straight. And he said, you don't have to be in the center. You want to go around a hill, you kick it out a quarter click, you kick it out a half click, and it goes around a hill. So one of the distinguished flying crosses, I think it was the DFC's on that one, we saved a whole compound from getting overrun. There was about 300 or 400 bad guys around this compound, and they were going to get overrun. So I came on station, they shot the first bird right out, they just, he went down, and so it's just me, so I was single ship on it. And I said, okay, I got a bunch of HE, I had 17 pounders. I like 17 pounders versus the 10 pounders, because instead of just knocking the windows out, I'd take the whole dang building out, and I kind of preferred that. But Captain Powell showed me how you can kick it out of trim, and it goes relative air and goes around the hill and comes in and hits. So depending on how much you're kicking out of trim is where it's going to hit around that hill. So if you're hitting one of the hillsides where they had their camps up in there, their defense camps, you could go all the way around the hill. So I told the guys on the ground, because they said we're getting overrun, and I said I can hit the entire hill if you're ready for it. So I said I'm going to do HE hard impact, 17 pounders all the way around the hill on one side, all the way around on the other side. And I said when I've linked those up, I'm then going to shoot the whole hillside with flechettes. So when you see the last rockets hit, you really need to duck. because flechettes, what do I have some of those? I don't have too many of those around. This is actually a flechette rocket. I cut it off. So the flechette rocket has got this plastic cover on it. And when the rocket decelerates, it fires off 2,200 little nails with fins on it. And they're all packed in the rocket, and they go, and artillery calls it beehive rounds. And so when they go out, one rocket covers a football field. So the friendlies have got to know it's coming, because they really got to get into some cover, but you can take out an entire hillside, which is what I did on that mission. But he showed me how to do that. So I actually, in one gun run, I covered the entire hill. And I think the body count was several hundred. Sorry, guys. Because my dad flew until he was 90 years old. So, and he had that 185 on floats up there. He'd go to his favorite fishing hole, but he had to have my sister or one of us be current to take him flying, because he wasn't legal. He's flying, not legal, he's flying his airplane. And of course, so you're sitting there and you think you're gonna get some flight time in a 185 on floats. So he's, we're flying, get off, we get off, you gotta do the radio call sometimes, because he's just like, that's how it is. Excuse me, who's calling? I said, Dad, you gotta tell him. You gotta tell him. Let me do it. So you have to make the radio calls for Dad. So then you get off the ground, and you thought you were going to fly? No. Sonny, this is my aircraft. Yes, sir. So I know Charlie Connor had the OH-6. He had a civilian OH-6. I used to fly out to Lake Sammamish to Connor Homes. I used to fly with him a lot. Harvey Field would go up there and scare the kids. It's fun scaring them. He's a 21-year-old building time. Can you imagine? Dick, come on. He gets in there, and I walk out to the airplane and I say, listen, Sonny, I've probably crashed more airplanes than you've flown. That's not a good way to go to your instructor. And he looks at you and says, are you serious? And he says, yeah. And I said, but I'm not hungover this morning, so we're going to have a good time. But here's the deal. I'm going to fly. You're going to make the radio calls, because I don't know this area for beans. And you make the radio calls, because I don't want to sweat that small stuff. And I'm going to go fly. We'll do a touch and goes, do all that stuff. And by the way, when I'm landing, I'm going to be landing. And I'll do it my way. Okay. So we go out there, and so I remember one time we were coming in as Snohomish at Harvey Field there, the river, and you're coming in from the north to the south, and you come in and you hit the river, and the river, the cool air sinks you down right before the 50-foot trees. And so, and my rule is that you don't touch the controls. If you touch the controls, I'm going to knock you out. I love those guys. So we hit the river there, and it squeaks down, and I know it's going to pull us down a little bit, and I got full flaps, and I'm coming down there, and the stall warning's going, and the instructor's, I said, I said, watch this. This is what we do in Alaska. So then you hit the trees, it does a little ploop, choo, dive it right down to the end, hit the numbers right on the edge, and you put her in. He says, you're passed. I'm going to sign you off. I don't want to fly with you anymore. Brand new Cobra. That was one of the new ones that had the fuel cells that would, they wouldn't explode on you. They had the big rubber tubes in them. And so it's kind of cool because you get shot in there. You just lost fuel, but you didn't explode and crash. So anyway, I was flying. That was one of my instances as a co-pilot, and I was in my AC. And I said, I've been flying this thing. I said, I know we took some hits. It's in the fuel cell. We're losing gas. We should stop over here at Phuket and get some gas. I never liked to pass a gas station. and so I said, we should stop and get some fuel, because I saw the guy that was shooting at us. I think we got hit in the fuel cell. And I said, nah, it's a brand new one. You just don't know how to read the gauge. Okay, Captain. I'm just a lowly lieutenant. So I'm watching this. Off we go. And we just happen to be in the middle of bad guy country. Figure? So he's sitting there, I'm calling out everybody I know. Listen, when I got shot down and went down, I knew where I was to within 3 feet. I can tell you exactly where I was, and if you don't come get me, I'm haunting your ass forever. And I told him that at the officers' club every night. So at any rate,
He's doing auto rotation. He does an auto rotation and a left turn. Well, an auto rotation and a left turn means you're bringing more fan, you're bringing the air, you're making it go faster. And you can make it go so fast that it goes, it leaves you. And then you can kiss your goodbye. So I pull up on a collective and pull it, lead off some RPM, which is not a good thing to do. You really don't want to do too much of that, but I wanted to keep the rotor hit. I like my fan running. So he starts hollering at me, don't you ever touch my controls. I'm in an auto rotation. We're doing an emergency landing. And I clicked off the deal. I made 4 calls. I got 3 guys coming. They've already got the ground troops coming to get us the whole thing. I've taken care of all that. I don't like being on the ground. So I get out of the chopper. I got all my gear. My M79 grenade launcher. I had a Mark-15 then, so I was cool, dude. My 245s. I got my box of C rations. Got my chicken plate, full vest, survival vest, my radio, got it all. And guess what I did? I hit the step and I slipped off. The water and mud from the rice paddy and the auto rotation as we stuck on the ground, and you can see it over there. Had the skid all slippery, and I stepped on that and went upside down in the rice paddy. And I stuck in this mud. This stuff is like super glue. And I'm sitting there, I look like I'm sitting on all fours. I can't get up. I'm drowning in mud water, and all this stuff is stuck in the. I said, oh man, this is really stupid. I said, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die here upside down like a turtle. So I said, I gotta get out of some of this stuff. So I got my stuff and started unloading stuff and got up and got some air. And you'll see on the side of that chopper my handprints full of mud as I'm crawling my way up the side of that Cobra. And the AC is still sitting up in the cockpit trying to figure out what to do. And we're getting shot at by everybody. So I don't like being on the ground. So I got chunk of rounds going out. I got M79, I got CAR-15, I got chunk of rounds. I'm shooting up the entire tree line. I don't care what direction, I'm shooting up the tree line. You're shooting at me, I'm shooting everything. There's a picture back there somewhere of this captain on a rice dike, and he's walking towards me because he said, Klassen, we'd have been to you half an hour earlier. There was so much shooting going on, we couldn't figure out who the good guys were and who the bad guys were.